This just proves that Kent Hughes is up to something, as we have multiple Habs trade reports, including a big one linking the Montreal Canadiens directly to the Buffalo Sabres, as they've made calls on a star player, Tage Thompson, from the Sabres, but it doesn't end there. Insider Dave Pagnotta also indicated that Kent Hughes is up for some big game hunting. We got to dive into all of that, but it doesn't stop there for the Habs, as Michael Hage is off to an insane start. Could he be part of a big trade package, or maybe the 2C of the future? There's a lot we got to get into on that front, plus some big updates from the Habs mandatory practice today, and one guy was absent, and we're going to get into that, and that guy was Nick Suzuki. And look, before we get into Tage Thompson, Michael Hage, Tage and Hage, we got to set the stage first. I had to work in a rhyme somehow. We got Nick Suzuki not participating in practice again today, Jesse, but the bigger news about practice, Suzuki said he's not going to play through anything the medical staff doesn't want him to, but the big news is that Dobes is getting the start Thursday. Now, Coach Marty St. Louis said this has nothing to do with how Monty played. Fair enough. And look, even Dobes himself said Monty will be fine. He's great. He's had a great season in a lot of games. Not every month you can be perfect and be good, but we all trust Monty. But so this is an interesting thing. Like, I don't love to see that Suzuki's still not practicing, but look, he's playing games. He looks solid. But this Dobes thing, and I have to wonder, Jesse, I think this Thursday might very well be a big-time tryout for this Saturday night versus Boston, and a game that could very well dictate the top spot in the Atlantic.
And you have to feel like this season for the Montreal Canadiens is all about that next generation. And it's maybe feeling like it's coming a little bit quicker than we expected, like whether it's with like Lane Hutson, Ivan Demidov, or now Jakub Dobes, factoring in to be huge members of this team, where really that tide is kind of changing very quickly as we're getting into the Montreal Canadiens 2.0 here. And really, like, you know, again, Montembeault, there was some signs that he could kind of turn around the corner. We were all hoping, like, even in the Kings game, like early on, there was some good signs, like, okay, maybe he could kind of figure it out here. But it's seeming like unless Jakub Dobes, like, drops the ball, it's going to really be like his net to really run with here going forward, which, again, very surprising to see that, like, such young players for the Montreal Canadiens are being relied upon, but it's because of this depth that we're having right now. Like, again, Lane Hutson, we didn't expect that he would be such an important part of this team just in his rookie season last year. We're seeing very early on for Jakub Dobes' NHL career, like, this Montreal Canadiens team is really going to be relying on him quite a bit here going forward here, because, again, you know, Monty, he's having to figure it out here. We don't want to pull up the stats because it's ugly, but we have to here at Habs Digest. We're all about the numbers here, you know, like 71 out of 73 in, you know, like goals saved above expected, 51 out of 54 goalies ranked here for like actual save percentage. So, like, we do believe that Monty will bounce back, like he'll come back, but obviously Jakub Dobes is going to be heavily relied upon in the interim.
Yeah, absolutely. And as he should be, right? And like Monty was saying, like, first of all, anyone sending Monty messages, like, don't do that. I would assume none of you guys are, but my goodness, it's crazy. Like, none of our fans are doing that. I know that, but he's like, it's part of a mental thing too, and it's been rough on him. And look, we believe in him to bounce back, just like Coach Marty does, just like Dobes does. And look, for now though, Jesse, I mean, look, the fixture is pretty clear. Like, it is going to be Jakub Dobes' net if he has a good game against Dallas, and I would imagine that, look, he's going to be getting more games going forward. I don't think it's that he's going to keep going until he loses. You're still going to see Monty starts, but for sure, like, look, Coach Marty, we saw he wasn't afraid to pull some very interesting changes in the middle of that Kings game to spur some offense. And you want to spur some wins with some good goaltending? Try Jakub Dobes. And seems like Marty's making some more bold choices this season. Leave your thoughts on this down below. Do you think Dobes will get the net Saturday? I think he has to have a decent game against Dallas, but if that happens, who knows? But to switch gears quickly to our prospects, and we've been talking about young guys, Jesse, again, like Demidov and Kapanen and so many other young guys, even still like Lane Hutson, they're relied on so much this year, and we're hoping to keep that pipeline going. Now, with all the talks about these mock trades with the Montreal Canadiens, naturally, some of our top prospects, like Michael Hage, show up in these conversations, but he's been off to an insane start, and there's lots of articles out there on him recently. I saw one from the Hockey Writers, I saw one from Sports Illustrated, but let's just take a look at the pure numbers here. 8 goals, 17 points in 12 games, Jesse, has him tied for 5th in the entire NCAA in points, which is crazy, and teammates Will Horkoff and TJ Hughes there are tied for 7th. Horkoff with 11 goals in 12 games. And Hage has been playing great with these guys. Now, Hage has taken more of a winger role lately, but, you know, we started off the season really hot with Hage. We haven't checked in a little while, and guess what? It's still just as good as we expected. The guy's taken fewer penalty minutes. He has half as many points as last year, well over half as many goals in just basically a third of the games. He's continuing, Jesse, to show why, like him, along with Zharovsky, along with Fowler, even Reinbacher had 2 points in 4 games at one point. Now it's 2 and 5. All of our guys are still developing at an incredible rate. Even if we don't talk about him every day, that's how good these guys have been.
For sure, and showing an ability to be able to play with his teammates, which we know is such a big part of the Montreal Canadiens, is the success, is the chemistry that they have. This top line for Michigan right now is absolutely killing it. 49 points in their first 14 games. Absolutely nuts what they're doing. And Hage, while he's improved, like with his points totals, we're seeing that also he's realized what he's needed to improve upon. The coach from Michigan was stating, like, the goal for him really this year is to be harder to play against. Yeah. And also, playing hard every single night and really bringing, like, again, like that physical side as much as possible. And for Hage, it's about, like, put a lot of work in the gym in the off season. It's about kind of bringing that to the ice every single night. So again, the point totals, it's going to come if he just continues to be that center or even that winger that's tough to play against. I think that's, completely par for the course for the development for the Montreal Canadiens right now.
And I love it too, because like for a guy that, again, did bulk up a good bit, there was a lot of reports on that, worked a ton in the gym, has kind of changed his game a bit to try and be tougher to play against. He's still on a much higher point pace, and sometimes that's not easy to do both of those things at the same time, but he is doing it, and we just got to highlight the exemplary play, I should say, of Michael Hage so far this year and his development. So we had to leave you guys an update on that. But the big one today, Jesse, there's big news coming out around Tage Thompson. There was an article from RG.org, and it's linked down below, and we'll read some quotes from it because, oh boy, Kent Hughes is going big game, hunting, fishing, whatever you want to say. One name drawing the most curiosity, Tage Thompson. Several teams, including the Montreal Canadiens and Vancouver Canucks, have contacted Buffalo to inquire about the direction the Sabres plan to take with their star forward. Now, there is a caveat to this here, and we will show it. The Sabres are reportedly looking to avoid any panic moves. With only a 5-0 trade list, Buffalo could draw massive interest for Thompson if they decide to wait until deadline or next season. The Sabres are not entertaining trade talks for Thompson at the moment. So regardless, they're not looking right now. But you really never know, because Buffalo is last in the Eastern Conference right now. They're tied for second last in the NHL with the Predators, the only team worse, the Calgary Flames. So again, if the turmoil continues in Buffalo, I know there's been some brutal situations, including the one with Dahlin and his family. Best wishes to them. But like, if the team is not going well and they do decide to go into a rebuild, Tage Thompson's a big idea. But even further than just Tage Thompson, Jesse, even Pagnotta was saying, and this is reciprocated by a lot of journalists, there's a willingness from Montreal's side to explore the big fish. And if there's another opportunity to add up front another big fish, I think Montreal will at least be a part of the discussion. And I think this fits very well into there. How did you feel hearing this report? Because you just got to know, Kent is going after these big fish. Doesn't matter. Buffalo says no. Kent is calling about one of your top young players. I love to hear that Montreal is just never ceasing to check in on some of the biggest stars in the league.
How do I feel about this, Josh? Yeah. I feel bad for the Buffalo Sabres.
Me too.
Apparently, Kent Hughes does not, though. Pick up the phone, check it in to see what's going on with the Vancouver Canucks. Again, two teams that are looking for center help here. Very interesting to note. You have to feel, again, like, why is it that they feel like there's an in there? And again, it's probably the fact of, again, the Buffalo Sabres at the bottom. It's not like they've been playing terribly this year, but again, it has to be just tough breaks for them to be at the bottom of the East here again. But it's also really a big factor in all this as well, Josh. Is we'll remember, like, we reported on this going on to the season. We've been keeping an eye on this for a while. Like, it was mentioned, there was a report, some rumors around key players for the Buffalo Sabres saying that if things didn't improve this season, that they'd be looking, potentially looking at some other options. I mean, at a certain point, you can't blame them, right? It's been the playoff drought has just kept going, and you have to feel like these players are getting frustrated. Like, they want to win. Like, they don't necessarily want to live Buffalo, but they're just giving their best college effort. That they feel that, like, things aren't changing. They might potentially look elsewhere here. So, again, this is something that's going to need to heat up. Like, if that gap kind of grows as we're going into January and February, like, that's where things get really kind of exciting because, again, the players might be putting pressure. Again, Kent Hughes is going to be more than motivated than ever, obviously, with the way that this team is playing. If they can really keep that up, he would just be like a dream acquisition. Again, like, coming off 44 goals last year, Josh, like, imagine a goal scorer of his ilk on the second line, having Caufield playing on that top line there. Like, again, just such scoring within your team. Again, that size that he provides at 6'6", absolutely unreal, 220 pounds, 28 years old. I think, again, like that would just be such an ideal situation where we feel like we could have a 2C that we could really grow with for years to come. And I feel like the sky would be the limit for the Montreal Canadiens at that point.
For sure, and adding some much-needed size up front, right? I mean, our forward core is pretty heavy on skilled players, and in that game against LA, where they played a more disciplined and maybe even bigger game, like Josh Anderson was one of the bigger impact players, and it was something we noticed a little bit against Washington, too. Not to say that we can't be successful with the team we have, just like, I'm never going to turn down the opportunity to get a skilled big guy. Like, that's always valuable, and look, again, they're not looking right now to trade Tage Thompson, but regardless of whether it's Thompson or some other player around the NHL, I mean, we've talked about Horvat before, but the Islanders are rolling right now. Like, Horvat's had an incredible season. There's a lot of names around the league. You never know who's going to come up, but the big thing is Kent Hughes is checking in. The Habs are looking. No matter what big name available or not, something we've been saying, like, doesn't matter if they're available. Kent Hughes is going to try and see what he can do to make it happen. Leave your thoughts on this recent report down below. Things are picking up for the Habs, and that'll do it for this episode. But if you want to stay up to date on all the latest news, rumors, reports, just like this one, hit that free subscribe button. We're getting close to 25,000. Thank you for tuning in every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.